Mario Kart 8 is one of Nintendo's crowning achievements. It has beautiful visuals, a stellar soundtrack, and track design that trumps anything that came previously, all thanks to the anti-gravity mechanic, allowing for truly spectacular course designs that effortlessly blend in both underwater driving and flying sections from Mario Kart 7, making for varied and constantly interesting scenarios. Back on the Wii U, Mario Kart 8 introduced DLC to the series for the first time, and it offered insanely good value for some truly high quality content that easily matched that of the original game. This was 2015, and so 7 entire years later, how's Nintendo plan on one-upping themselves on that? Well, they don't. Honestly, it looks like they barely tried. Mario Kart 8 easily has my favourite tracks in the entire series, so I was initially stoked to hear that we'd be getting even more of that greatness in the game. 48 more tracks to be precise. It sounded too good to be true. And, well, it is. It makes me incredibly sad to say this, but Nintendo has seemingly cheaped out on this DLC to give us content that looks incredibly low effort compared to everything else in the game. Let's talk about it all, and why I believe it may genuinely ruin the game. Hyperbolic? Maybe, but let me just go with it for now, and maybe you'll see where I'm coming from. I'm going to get the most obvious thing out of the way first, the visuals. And yes, they're really poor compared to the original game. Flat textures, blocky assets, oversized assets, and a general simplistic and unappealing art style that rips the game from one of its biggest selling points. I know that graphics don't make everything, but this was absolutely one of the main reasons people were so invested in the original game upon reveal. The grounded and detailed art style was a sight to behold, and Nintendo knew this. They had a dedicated replay system where you could go through replays, slow them down, change camera angles, and even upload those highlights to YouTube. Nintendo wanted you to see every angle of the game, because the amount of work that went into the look of each and every stage was unmatched. Combine that with the insane course design, and you had some fantastic spectacles to see during each and every trailer they revealed. Yeah, the stages don't look downright terrible in this DLC, but how is that even a good defense when it clashes with the high quality of the rest of the game? It's jarring, and feels extremely cheap that it actively ruins my enjoyment when racing on these tracks. In theory, adapting Mario Kart Tour's stages and implementing them into Mario Kart 8 is a great idea, but the execution of quote-unquote remastering these tracks has failed miserably in my opinion, and what you're left with is ugly versions of tracks that you love. Just look what they did to Coconut Mole. It makes me so sad. Literally the opening shot of Coconut Mole just looks so bad in my opinion. But let's say we ignore the graphics. What do we have then? Tracks that functionally work? Sure. Are they as insane as the rest of the tracks in the game? The answer to that is a big fat no. Because these tracks were originally designed for Mario Kart Tour, the main selling point of anti-gravity is nowhere to be seen in any of these tracks. Not only that, but you've got to remember that Mario Kart Tour is a mobile game, so the tracks have been designed with one-handed gameplay in mind. This means that not only are the retro courses extremely lacking in creativity, with almost straight ports of their designs from previous games, but the new courses introduced in Tour are incredibly flat, basic, and uninspired. Tokyo Blur and Paris Promenade have to be some of the weakest tracks I've ever seen in Mario Kart. They're just so boring to race on. Returning courses like Toad Circuit are so weak, with no deviations or creativity than that of the previous games. So there's no excitement or cool set pieces to behold, unless you count a big floating Toad balloon as a set piece. Sky Garden was especially disappointing because not only is it extremely basic and even shorter than the GBA version, but comparing it to the other GBA tracks from Mario Kart 8, it's shockingly poor just how little creativity went into this course. Cheeseland, for example, has loads of elevation, chain jumps to avoid, anti-gravity sections that lead to flight sections, and a cool trek uphill during the end of the course. Sky Garden barely does anything, with a simple turn at the end of the course and a flight section. If this were in the base game, I guarantee you that the last turn would have been shooting to the sky. Choco Mountain and Coconut Mall both have walls that really should be easily drivable like that in Toad's Turnpike, but you just can't. Choco Mountain has a cool cave segment, I guess, but the design is still so boring to race on. The exciting thing about seeing new retro coasters in Mario Kart 8 was to see how they were going to twist it on its head, how it was all going to be updated. And whenever the track design isn't wholly changed that much, you can at least count on the truly beautiful graphics to bring the whole thing together. I wouldn't like Cheap Cheap Beach nearly as much if it looked as ugly as the Booster Course DLC. I'm also not even a fan of the tracks when they aren't changed in design that much, which is why I'm not a huge fan of DK Jungle or Neo Bowser City, for example. But still, Neo Bowser City is a breathtaking looking stage, so it doesn't bother me too much. So yeah, although tracks like Coconut Mall are still fun, I suppose, due to the original track being fun, it could have been so much more than what it is. And also, why did they make the parking lot at the end so empty? And why don't the cars move at all? It looks like a glitch. Basically, the track design is simple and is almost ported from older games rather than being truly reimagined like what the original Mario Kart 8 did with its retro tracks. What's funny is that many tracks are just taken from Mario Kart 7, including the retro courses. So in essence, we're getting ports of ports. I mean, obviously they're updating the art style from Mario Kart 7 to Tour, but they barely changed the actual tracks at all, which explains why they're so basic in this DLC. There is an exception to these basic tracks, however: Ninja Hideaway. I wasn't expecting anything from this course, but actually, the design of it is quite unique, and not something I've seen a lot of in Mario Kart. The shortcuts feel very unconventional, and each area has multiple segments that you can choose from. It gives me huge Crash Team Racing vibes, to be honest, reminding me of tracks like Cortex Castle or Clockwork Wumper. It's easily the best track in all of the DLC, but everything about the art style still remains the same. The music present was also surprising because I expected them to cheap out on this too, but actually, I don't think they did. Although I find that it feels somewhat of lesser quality than that of the original game, it still sounds like they're using some live instruments mixed in with electronic synths to make for music that mostly matches the original game, so I can't really complain with that. But that's most of the praise that I've got here. For $25, I guess it's a good deal for 48 tracks, but I would much rather pay $50 for 48 amazing tracks rather than half of that for incredibly basic and flat out lazy port jobs of tracks from Mario Kart Tour. Here's the thing that I worry about with this DLC the most though. These tracks will appear in the public online lobbies that you play, even if you don't own the DLC. By the time that the 48 tracks are out, there's a 50-50 chance that you'll be playing on lesser tracks than all of that of the original game. In essence, I worry that this is going to ruin my enjoyment of the online, because I now have a 50% chance of playing on a track that I dislike, and there's nothing I can do about it other than not play online with random people anymore, and instead either use friend lobbies or tournaments. But that's everything I've really got to say on this. It's really disappointing to me because Mario Kart 8 is such a landmark title, and to see Nintendo not treat it with any sort of integrity is upsetting. I'll be trying out the rest of the DLC, of course. I am a Mario Kart fanboy, but just know that I won't be very happy about it.